can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet, baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And how are we doing out there all across this great land of ours and around the world? It is that time. You're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, a real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos from Trial Report, and we are here to educate, inform, and engage you, our listening audience, as to the relevance of conservatism and the lameness of liberalism. So we're glad you took the time to join us this afternoon. And we're going to have some fun today. It's going to be kind of a light day, but also some serious stuff too. Yesterday was the Super Bowl. There's some things that we could probably take from that. Most of it humorous, that kind of stuff. But there was, before that, Saturday. In fact, one of the humorous things was the fact that Debbie Wasserman Schultz tried to make a big deal about the GOP holding a debate on Saturday, the day before Super Bowl, because they didn't want people to be exposed to what the GOP is about. And here we're talking about a woman who has done everything but scheduled debates at midnight in order to protect Hillary Clinton. So that was kind of funny. There's some of the comic relief for you, but there's a couple things that we're going to bring up about it today. But mostly the GOP debate. Probably one of the best in terms of actually trying to hear candidates, and I say trying to hear candidates articulate certain ideas and policies. And we're going to spend some time talking about that today. In particular, well, we'll be doing off and on throughout the whole show. One of the other aspects of the comic relief, something we'll probably get to in the second hour, is Bill Clinton's on the campaign trail. And it doesn't get any better than this. I'll tell you one thing about liberals, man. No wonder Saturday Night Live is such a popular show. There's so much material out there. Bill Clinton out playing the sexist card on behalf of his wife. Bernie Sanders is a sexist. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I find that coming from the man who defined a sexist activity and harassment and everything else. And if anybody would know that, I guess it would be him. But having said that, let me bring on my co-host here, Joe Hakos from Dry Report. How are you doing today, Joe?
Good, John. Time to engage the brain.
What's that?
Just engaging the brain.
Well, I find that just beyond comical.
Yeah, Bill Clinton talking about, you know what he's mad about? He's like, why don't you really? You could make a pass at her. Go ahead, Bernie. No one else does.
That's right.
I mean, crying out loud. That's just like, let's see. There's hypocrisy, and then there's Bill Clinton and the rest of his cabal.
Right, and that is just. I mean, it's in line with that. Some of the things I'm hearing here. One of the things that Hillary Clinton was talking about in the Democrat debate, the last Democrat debate, and I believe she tried to echo it again over the weekend in a couple of interviews, is the fact that she's never let anybody influence her positions on votes. She's never. Nobody's ever influenced me. Nobody's ever bought me off.
That's like an admission that it's already happened.
and again, within the context of the Clinton mentality, you have to ask the question. Well, that might be true. That might be true because there's a difference between influence and voting. What is there to influence when you're already a leftist?
Well,
what are you going to change? You're going to change your views?
Yeah.
No. And what it is, when the Clintons are bought off, is for their influence.
Yeah, they're pathological. They're pathological liars. So,
really. I mean, you can look at somebody like a Barack Obama, and you can see the narcissism. He's sociopathic. He lies because he really thinks it's the truth. The Clintons lie very much in a psychopathic way. They know they're lying. There's no doubt. These people have been in politics so long that it's not like you can say, well, maybe it's just their version of reality. No, they know how to play the game, and they know that it means lying. They are the epitome of the Gruber theorem, which is the stupidity of the American voter. Transparency is an advantage. Lack of transparency is an advantage to the American voter, and so they play on that. And Clinton over the weekend, several times she tried to play to that stupidity factor. In one of the town halls, she was asked by a young lady about Benghazi.
Yeah, and they tried to take the mic off of her.
Yeah, and she was like, well, I've said all I can say about this, and I've done all can do about this, and I just, for the life of me, can't figure out why everybody is just so upset about this, and it is amazing. It is amazing how we, the electorate, have allowed these people to blatantly lie to us day in and day out and not get upset about it. I mean, we do. People on our side of the aisle get upset about it. But I'm talking about the 47% that will vote for Hillary no matter what kind of crowd.
No matter what clothes she's wearing, she could be wearing the black and white striped freaking shoes without laces, freaking prison uniform, and 47% are going to go out there and say, I like Hillary because she's a woman and she's like awesome. She's done so much. Oh, she's great. Oh, Hillary. Oh, thank God you're out there. You're going to take the time to talk to us all from your prison cell. You're the best. And then meanwhile, you got Madeleine Albright out there telling women that if they don't support Hillary Clinton, there's a special place in hell for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. And I'll give you an example. We got just a couple minutes here before we go to our first break for the day. I take my wife in for her checkup today. One of her checkups to her kidney specialist, and her kidney specialist is a really, really good doctor. I love this woman dearly. But she is as liberal as they come. And the last few times I've seen her, I've avoided saying anything about her because she is as adamant about what she believes as I am about what I believe. So we kind of have this mutual thing with us that we won't really get too far into discussions because she has patience. And she's like, you really screw up my blood pressure and stuff, and then when you leave, it takes me a while to get back to normal. And, so I respect that. I'm in her place of business and stuff. But I told her today, I said, Karen, I've got to ask you, are you feeling the burn yet? And then that's what I asked her. And she looked at me and she said, no, I like Hillary. and I'm like, okay. And she goes, because she's so knowledgeable. And she's smart, and she has all this experience. And it was all I could do to keep from entering into one of these conversations that we've had in the past that I promised I would never allow myself to get into again because she's my wife's doctor. And I just like how, and we're talking about a very intelligent woman, a very good at what she does, a very compassionate woman. And just a great human being, except for her politics. And my wife was commenting to me about it on the way home. I said, this is what fascinates me about liberals. There are some of them that are just so good at what they do. A lot of celebrities are so good at what they do. And they are so dumbass stupid when it comes to anything other than that. And that's the case here. This woman is an intelligent, articulate, great, compassionate woman who believes what she's doing. She's been doing it for a good number of years, and she's great at what she does. And to tell me that Hillary has experience and knowledge, it's kind of like, compared to what? Well, compared to what?
What she doesn't see is just how much Hillary hurts people.
Yeah.
How much her policies, how much the things that they do hurt people, but yet, like you said, she can heal others. It's like, okay, so you can't heal what Hillary's hurting.
Yeah. So
you can't. The only way you can stop that is not voting for her.
Yeah. So I just,
Or put her in
especially a
jail.
woman who was so adamant about Obamacare when it first came out, and now she hates it, but she still
does she
thinks
now?
that they're good. She still
She
thinks,
would eat that crap, baby.
Yeah. It's hurt her practice in terms of
Suck on
revenue.
it.
So anyway, we got to go to break. It's our time for our first break. When we get back, we'll kind of lay out for you what we're going to do today. It's a little bit, I'm not going to say complicated, but maybe a little intricate in how we're going to approach the topic today. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
At a time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Okay, we're back, and you're listening to none other than the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hickles from Dry Report, my co-host and partner in crime. And my parting shot there regarding the physician or the specialist that takes care of my wife, who had a kidney transplant. Now, let's see, back in 2010, 5 years ago. And she takes care of my wife. She's very good at what she does. Just an excellent, excellent doctor. But just seems to have not caught on to what the left has done for America, or done to America, and not for America, done to America. And even in the light of complaining about how she was explaining to me today about the differences between HMOs and some of the other outfits, and how they go about getting their money and earning their money. And she actually said this to me. I found it remarkable because my wife was saying, I want to get another primary doctor. The primary physician that my wife has is not the greatest guy. I'm sure he's a good doctor if he ever had the time to talk to us. And so, we're just saying, he's just, he seems to have like a factory line kind of setup. And, his office is right across the street from the hospital where my wife has had surgery twice, and he never bothered to walk across the street to see her. And so, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like, do you know anybody that's good out there? And that's what we asked her. Do you know anybody that's a good primary care physician? And she said, well, not anybody that deals with CareMore, which is the Medicare facilitators. And she goes, the HMOs and everything, they're not good. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And she was beginning, she explained to me how they have to make a choice. Doctors have to make a choice now between trying to rip off the system or doing their job and not make money. And that's how she put it to me. And I'm like, okay, and you're one of these people that thinks Obamacare is great. It's amazing to me. She complained to us because of the fact that I went on VA and my wife went on CareMore, which means she doesn't make the money that she was making when I had the PPO. So she's had some very frank conversations with me about this, and I'm kind of like, tough. You voted for the scum. What are you talking to me about it for?
Yeah, I'd have been, I probably would have been a little more adamant in my conversation.
I said, why would I want to pay $800 a month? Which probably, if I'd kept the PPO, probably I would have lost a lot of the benefits I had, and I'd probably be paying more money for it now.
Yeah, because it doesn't fit the Obamacare plan. It doesn't meet the standards. You must have contraception in your plan, John.
Yeah,
you're at that age.
I need maternity leave.
Yes, you do. I'd have been like, look, shut up, because I want to smack you. Because not only did she hurt herself, but she's hurt this nation for at least a generation. We're not going to get rid of this crap anytime soon. And to sit there and say, oh, no, I can't make my money. Well,
yeah,
who freaking who, lady? You just ruined the whole you and your freaking kind have just ruined the nation's healthcare system because you love Barack. You love the liberals. You love Hillary. She's so smart and experienced. Yeah, she's a flipping criminal, deserves to be in jail, but you love her. Shut up.
I get it. And like I said, I really have to, one of the few liberals that I'm around that I really kind of very careful about how deep I go into conversations. A lot of it, but mostly, not because I'm afraid to do it, mostly because of the fact that, this is her practice. I'm in her office. I'm taking up her time. And so it's kind of like, I'm not going to go there because it would.
Her time? You're providing her with a person to serve. Without you, she doesn't have a freaking practice.
Yeah, I know. I get
like
that.
She don't have a practice.
Yeah, maybe I'm just more willing to cut her slack because of the fact that she has done a very good job of taking care of my wife. So it's kind of like...
you're willing to cut her slack because she is taking care of your wife.
Yeah.
And you'd like not to think that she would take it on her.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that here we are, this like I said, this woman's very educated. She's got degrees. She's got, she's there. She's one of those people. Been in practice for almost 40 years. Really knows what she's doing, that kind of stuff, and just hasn't figured it out. It's like you would think that people like this would know firsthand what Obamacare is doing to the country, and they do. They just deny that it's still bad. Like what she said to me was, we were talking about, I said, on our side of the aisle, I said, we're not in much better shape right now either because we've got, our own little problems going on here in terms of being able to articulate a message and everything else. And I said, it's a little bit, crazy on our side too right now. And she's like, if they don't do something, if the healthcare industry, they want to repeal Obamacare, and I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, if they did that, then nobody would have anything, and then we'd have people just lined up around the building here just for, and I'm like, but see, I said, Karen, this is where you guys miss it. We have been trained and conditioned over the last 60 years at least. The government is supposed to solve our problems. And that is why we're having this conversation where you're thinking, well, something has to be done. And I'm thinking something has to be done, but not by the government. That's where we're different. We're different. We go different paths because you're trying to figure out how the government is supposed to fix this. The government broke it.
Yeah. Which brings us back to the Cloward and Piven freaking gambit here. That's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to overwhelm the system because, those evil Republicans have killed health care now, and they're going to overwhelm the system. Man, the only possible solution is single payer.
Right. And that's why I was asking her. I said, I really think you guys have a really good chance of having Bernie in there, or at least nominated. She goes, well, he can't possibly win the election. I said, well, I don't know why you think Hillary can win it, but, that's your opinion. But I said, it's ours to lose. I told her it's ours to lose again. It's the Republicans to lose, and they might do it. They've done it before. But this whole, I guess the general thrust of what I'm saying is, somebody who has experienced firsthand what is wrong with the system and still will defend it. And that's a true believer.
Yeah. You look at the other side. Hey, Jeb Bush. Yeah, we've broken it, but I can fix it. Yeah, sure. We ought to give you another chance at fixing it. Are you kidding me? What? Yeah. Exactly. It's like, no, conservatives don't believe in that. Yeah, that gets me down to my three things that what a conservative believes.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, conservative believes in religious liberty. Do we have that? Do we have a war on religious liberty? Yes, we certainly do. And because I don't see anybody out there, defending this and that when it comes to Christian stuff. Well, we got to take down those memorials and stuff like that. Okay, so there's a war. We have religious liberties we believe in. We also believe in the private property, the right to have private property. The left certainly doesn't believe that. That should be, how did you get that? You didn't earn that. You didn't make that. Remember that? Remember, you didn't earn that? And limited government. Number 3, limited government. That's where the crux of all this comes down to, is limited government. Not the government solves all the problem. And the one thing that's supposed to protect those 3 things is the Constitution. And none of these people believe in the Constitution. And the Constitution, we know about that. But it should be a living document. It should breathe and grow and mold and be something that it's not intended to be, because society's ever changing. Yeah. Right. No, that's not how it was intended.
Well, here, in line with that, I'm going to take what Joe just said, and I'm going to get into the first part of what I want to talk about today. It took place at the GOP debate on Saturday. Now, I did not watch the debate, but I pulled up the transcript, and I have spent the better part of probably 5 to 6 hours over the weekend analyzing this thing, going through the transcript, reading the questions, and I will say this about the moderators at ABC. I do like the fact that their questions were pretty shortly worded. They weren't really leading questions in the sense of wanting so much to pit one candidate against another. They would use the other candidate's views, but then they would say to the candidate they were asking the question, "What's your answer?" You know, it wasn't like the Fox News kind of thing where why is he wrong or where did he miss it kind of thing. It was like so and so said this. What's your answer? What's your response? What do you think it is? That kind of thing. So I thought the questions were at least a little bit better worded. And it did allow a little bit more of a dialogue to take place. Unfortunately, it didn't. That doesn't mean that the substance was any better. It was like I just thought the format was a little bit more open to a more revealing dialogue, and I'm not so sure that any of the candidates hit that or picked up on it. But there was one particular question that just really hit me hard because it was the same. It was in the same frame of the question we started talking about back in November of last year when Chris Matthews asked Debbie Wasserman Schultz, what's the difference between a Democrat, socialist, and a Democrat, or a socialist and a Democrat? And she would not answer. I don't know if she didn't know the answer or she just didn't want to reveal it. And we started talking that time that probably they didn't want to reveal it. They didn't want to make comparisons because there really is no comparison. And to do that would reveal what the Democrat Party has turned into. And so rather than doing that, they just kind of skirt the issue, okay? And so we thought, okay, well, that's that. On that preface, on that foundation, I have been saying that there's no way the Democrat Party is going to want Bernie Sanders as their nominee because Bernie Sanders brings into the open what the Democrat Party really is. And now I'm beginning to rethink that because I'm beginning to think if the numbers keep the trend that they're going, apparently there are enough Democrats that don't care or don't know what socialism is, that they're willing to put somebody like Bernie Sanders out there and say, hey, let's take our chances, But there was a question here, and I'm going to put this question up here, and then we're going to have to go to a break, and maybe we'll pick it up with Bob when we come up on Bob's show after the break. Maybe not. Maybe with Joe and I will discuss it here. I'm not sure Bob would actually be able to stay with our train of thought here, but and that's not a slight against him. He just thinks in a different mindset than we do. But here's what it says. What's his name? Muir. What's this guy's first name? David Muir. Okay. He says, we're going to turn now to what it means to be a conservative. And I want to turn to Governor Kasich. So he asked Governor Kasich first. Governor, while campaigning here in New Hampshire, you were already asked about groans from some conservatives after your endorsements from the New York Times and the Boston Globe. You said, quote, what conservatives have to know is they have to say, look, isn't it nice to have a conservative like me liked? And maybe they ought to think about it because if I get elected president, the Republican Party and the definition of conservatism is going to change. So Muir asked him, how would you change conservatism? Now, Kasich goes into this big thing, first of all, about what a great governor he is. Okay? He's cut taxes. He's created jobs. He took the budget from a deficit to a surplus, blah, blah, blah. And so he lays out his own resume. All right? Then he says, I lost my job today. He's talking about his family. He said, when I was a kid growing up in a neighborhood where dad went home at night and said, I lost my job, it killed the family. Now, here's what he said. I'll leave it with this thought here. It was just a devastating effect. We have to have economic growth, but once we have economic growth, I believe we have to reach out to people who live in the shadows. I believe we need to help the mentally ill, the drug addicted, and the working poor. Now, I'm going to talk later about, he then goes on to kind of define what that means. But I'm thinking that sounds just like Bernie Sanders describing to us what democratic socialism is. See, so, and then we're going to talk about Marco Rubio had the opportunity to respond, and so did Donald Trump. He didn't ask Ted Cruz, but they asked the other three. So I want to expound on that. I'm really getting sick and tired of people telling me they're conservative when they don't even know what it means, and what it represents and what it's about. Joe hit on it. I'm going to take it a little bit deeper when we get back. Right now we got to go to commercial break. When we come back, we'll hook up with our good buddy Bob Cardoso over at Robert Cardoso Live. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Attention taxpayers! If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. And we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos from Dryer Report. And we're going to hook up now with Robert Cardoso. We're going to add him to our call here, and get in on whatever discussion he's having today regarding, well, I guess it's, hey, come on, where is it? He says, hey, add me. I clicked on it. Why didn't it add? And add to call. Okay, there we go. I mean, maybe I just clicked on the wrong button here. So we're getting ready to hook up with Bob over at his show right now. He's streaming live from Robert Cardoso Live right now. So our Monday segment with him, I think we're his guest.
Conservative Syndicate. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, my friend?
I gotta tell you, I owe Joe an apology.
Sure, Bob.
Yeah, Joe, I owe you an apology. You know, I told you that last Democratic debate was one of the best that I had ever seen. I was wrong, because on Saturday, wow, the Republican debate just blew me away.
Well, I'm sorry you almost got sucked out to sea.
Man, what a fantastic, exciting debate.
In what aspect? Well,
you know what? I think that if you weren't on your game, if you weren't on your toes, you had everything to lose, and if you were on your toes, you had everything to win. You know, I think that Rubio kind of stepped in it for a while. I don't know that it's going to hurt him real bad, but he stepped in it for a while, and Christie just kept shoving his face right into it. The same thing was going on between Donald Trump and the audience when he made everybody aware of the fact that he had no supporters in the audience because it was only for people that were supporting him financially, and he was doing his own thing. So, I mean, there was so much going on that I thought was fantastic, and they were really talking about specifics with policies.
Well, I personally, from my perspective, I really, really believe this. I think we'll know for sure after New Hampshire here, or probably after South Carolina. But I think Trump is on the verge of a meltdown. He's not just like our current president. He's not a good loser. He doesn't take it lightly, and he takes it personally. It's not like, of course, I don't know how you can run in a presidential election and not take things personally. But the fact of the matter is that he's starting to not, I guess he's kind of getting tired of lashing out at commentators and his opponents. So now he's starting to lash out at the audience.
Well, yeah, but hang on. I mean, that's not fair. First of all, I think he did a good job on Saturday, and a lot of the people that I've been listening to say the same thing. And when he was lashing out at the audience, he really wasn't so much lashing out at the audience as he was letting the American people that were watching this debate on television know that the people that were booing him on the audience were supporters of the other candidates that were there, and he had no supporters in the audience because the GOP wouldn't give him any tickets.
You know what's funny about that, Bob? Is this would have been 4 years ago, he would have been in the audience.
That's true. That's true. But because he'd have been a supporter.
No, he'd have been a contributor.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's a mistake I'm making. I keep saying a supporter. I should have been saying contributor.
And not only that, he would have been in the audience at the Hillary Bernie Sanders debate also.
Well, of course, because he contributed to both sides. You gotta give him this. He's a good businessman. You can't deny that. And a good businessman, covers his bets. He doesn't know what the heck's going to happen, and he wants to make sure that he is getting access to both sides.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can't deny is he still has not been able to answer the question for the three-letter word of how.
Yeah, he has yet to bring any substance to his answers as to how he plans to do anything that he says he's going to do.
So can you name one of the candidates that did tell us how?
I don't care about them. I want Trump. He's the front runner. Tell me how.
Yeah.
Tell me how, Donnie. Tell me how. You going to pull something out of your Trumpster dumpster? Tell me how, Donnie.
Yeah. If you're telling me that you're this grandiose deal maker, and that you're going to make deals because you work well with both sides. He said it. He has bought both sides. He said that during the debate. I've done stuff.
If I were a businessman of his acumen, I'd be doing the same damn thing.
You know what's funny is I was listening to another program today, and they had a guy up in New Hampshire who actually said this. He has not voted in 25 years, 5 presidential election cycles, he has not voted in, and yet Donald Trump has come out of the ceiling or wherever, his birthday cake or something, I don't know, but he's come out, and now he's willing to stick it out there and vote for somebody now because Donald Trump is there.
Yeah, I didn't know that I didn't know. This is the first time I've heard that. I didn't know that he had not voted in 25 years.
No, not Donald Trump. This guy is going to vote for Donald Trump. He hasn't voted in 25 years.
Yeah.
And now, all of a sudden, he's going to vote for Donald Trump.
Well, we covered this. We did a segment on this a couple of weeks ago that the Reuters had done a poll, and there was a vast number, 1 out of every 10 people that they polled said that they had not voted in an election cycle of 10 years or more, or this was the first election cycle that they were going to vote in, and it was because of Trump. Now, you sit there and you say, the first initial thing you get is, well, that's good. But then you say, here's the downside. If these people have not voted before, or they've not voted for a number of election cycles, chances are they don't really know what it is candidates are talking about. And they're doing one of two things. They're just saying, they're all a bunch of crooks, they're all a bunch of idiots, whatever. I'm not doing nothing. But that tells me that they're not really listening to the narratives. They're not really paying attention to what the candidates are doing.
For the first time, they're hearing a candidate say what they're thinking, and they're going to get behind it. You can say the same thing about Bernie Sanders. Where the heck are all of his supporters coming from?
Yeah, so what we
see... They haven't voted before. It scares the hell out of you that all of a sudden these people decide they want to support it's
a socialist.
So thank you.
You can say it. Everybody knows it.
I love the idea that you're there, Joe, when I get in trouble.
Yeah, well, and so what we have here is we have on the left the Gruber theorem, which is the stupidity of the American voter. On the right, we have the Coulter theorem, which is let's keep the moderates in power, and someday they'll turn into conservatives. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but it's the ignorance factor. Everybody's being driven by this emotion. We got somebody out there shooting his mouth off, saying things the way that we would say it, and that is a good thing. I've never had any problem with that. I'm waiting for Trump to tell me how is he going to pay for the wall. I'm waiting for him to tell me how is he going to overhaul Obamacare. I'm waiting for him to tell me how is he going to make deals with countries that right now want to blow us off the face of the earth. And
at least, John, he's the first guy that I've heard that says, I am not going to immediately get rid of Obamacare until I have an adequate replacement. We have to have health care for the citizens of the United States. He made that comment. So he's the only one I've heard. All I hear is we're going to get rid of it. We're going to get rid of it and replace it with what?
And that is exactly what a conservative would not do. A conservative would get rid of it, period, and not replace it.
But you know what? A good businessman would never do that. He'd always have some kind of an alternative waiting in the wings.
No, why?
Be a better
answer me this question, Bob. Why? Why does the government have to have some kind of alternative?
Why don't they?
Hey, check this out. He already said what he's going to do. It's called single payer. He already said it.
Isn't that what Obama wanted 7 years ago? Single payer.
And who's going to pay for it, Donald? The taxpayers, the government.
We are the single payer. Who do you think pays for government?
Yeah. So there's your answer, Bob.
Yeah. What is the government doing in healthcare to begin with? That's my question.
The one thing Donald Trump said is that he'd like to get, when it comes to insurance competition and free trade, he'd like to get rid of the magic lines that separate one state from another and make all the insurance companies compete in a free market that would lower the costs. That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
but that is not Trump's position.
That was said in 2009, while we were having this whole big damn debate about it. That was said. And what did the Democrats do? No, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have Republicans.
Yeah. And that's who said it was Republicans. And guess what? Barack Obama was so magnanimous, and he reached across the aisle and said, "Never mind."
Well, you know what? Instead of castigating Barack Obama, isn't the reason that we're thinking about changing the occupier of the White House? One of the biggest reasons is because we're all unhappy with what has happened in the last 8 years. We don't need to castigate him. We all know about it. What we need to do is what the new guy is going to do to make it better.
Yeah, well, I
don't really care about the guy that made it bad. We know how that happened. I want to know how the new guy is going to make it better.
Yeah, we have to go to a break, Bob. But when we come back, I want to address that issue here about conservatism and what is the difference. Trump is saying let's replace something. I'm saying let's just repeal it and let the free market take it back over. And I'll explain that to you. But we got to go to our break on this side right now, so we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
All right.
All right, guys. Let's run our commercials here. Pay our bills. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. And we're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos, and we're going to hook back up here with Bob because I'm raring to go here. I'm loaded for bear right now.
Settle down.
With this whole issue of conservatism and what it means and what it doesn't mean. It's something that's just, it's in my craw and it has to be dealt with.
And we're back. Well, let's see. And we're back with John Matthews and Joe Hakos. Sorry, Guy. I was daydreaming, I think, when you guys called in.
Well, we were talking before the break, Bob, about this idea of the concept, or, you're talking about that there needs to be an alternative to Obamacare. If we're going to repeal it, we need to replace it. My position as a conservative is that we need to repeal it and turn it back over to the free market the way that it's supposed to be in order to recover and reestablish itself as what it is, a private enterprise. This is not a public service. This is not an entitlement program. This is not something that people should have a right to. This is something that is run by the free market. Now, I understand the compassionate side of this thing, that people need health care and some people can't afford it. That does not justify putting the government in charge of it and saying we'll figure out how to redistribute money in order to make it.
But that's not what Trump said. You're still talking about the Democratic platform. If we're going to talk about what the Republican debate was, that it wasn't that at all. And if you're going to talk about conservatism, that was not the definition by even the people that disagreed what conservatism was in the debate.
Okay, and the definition that was given by three of the candidates as to what conservatism is was so far off the mark, it was ludicrous. The idea when the question was asked, I believe it was asked of John Kasich first, what is conservatism? David Muir asked him basically, you define to me what conservatism, in the same light that Chris Matthews asked Wasserman Schultz, define to me the difference between a Democrat and a socialist. And then, so the question was worded, they were looking for the Republicans, somebody to give a definition of what conservatism is. What does John Kasich talk about? The first thing he talks about, he says, I'm going to read you a quote from what he says here, just exactly what he said. We need to help the developmentally disabled to rise and we need to help our friends in the minority community develop entrepreneurship. In other words, in American, conservatism should mean not only that some rise with conservative principles, but everybody has a chance to rise, regardless of who they are, so they can live their God-given purpose. That's what conservatism should be.
And that's precisely what Rubio said. Rubio actually nailed down the definition.
Okay, but that doesn't define what conservatism is, and that is a very separatist statement to say, for some reason, what he's implying is that only some people can employ conservative principles. He's saying that it's not that some rise with conservative principles, but everybody should have a chance. That conservatism is everybody has the chance.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So what he's saying is that his language, his inference, his reference, and what he's implying
You're talking about Kasich. You're not talking about Rubio.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to Rubio in a minute. Kasich comes out and basically is reciting the exact same thing Bernie Sanders says about democratic socialism. It's about giving everybody the same thing. It's exactly the same. He just worded it different, but he just said it's conservatism instead of democratic socialism.
Yeah, but you know what the same thing is, don't you? The same thing is opportunity. If you get off your dead lazy ass and you work hard, you have the opportunity to get up into the higher income levels, and create jobs for people.
And so what Kasich is implying here is not everybody can employ conservative principles, and so we have to do something to offset that. That if you read the context, that's the context of the statement. Completely ludicrous and completely moderate. That's something I would expect out of Jeb Bush, of course.
Well, yeah, but here's the problem. The problem is
now
I support your position
let's go to
Kasich,
Rubio.
I don't like him either.
Okay, you keep talking about Rubio. Let's go to Rubio's.
No, I don't like Rubio either. But he did give a good definition of what conservatism was.
I'm sorry?
I say I don't like Rubio either, but he did give a good definition of what conservatism is.
And surprisingly, Trump came the closest until he turned it into a talking point. He actually came out, I'm looking at the root word, which is conserve. Okay, that's very close to what conservatism is. I'm going to give you the definition here in a minute. That's why I'm ranting here. But
are you ranting, John?
Rubio comes out and starts defining what conservatism looks like. But he doesn't define what it is, and that's the problem here. We're trying to give examples of what conservatism looks like without defining what it entails and what it takes. He talks, it's free enterprise. It's an economic model that allows everyone to rise without pulling anybody down. Okay, those are all great analogies, but they do not define what conservatism is. It's about national defense. Okay, that's an aspect of what conservative ideology looks like, but it isn't a definition of what conservatism is. And until people can understand what it is, the analogies and the examples don't make sense to the average person because we have been conditioned over the last 6 decades that the government is supposed to fix everything. And that's not what the government is supposed to do. The government's job is to protect our borders and protect our civil rights, not to come into our lives and figure out how to take care of everything that we can't or don't want to take care of. That's not what it is. I'm going to give you a definition of conservatism here.
Good, because what you're just saying has nothing to do with what the definition of conservatism is.
I'm not saying it has nothing to do with it. I'm saying in the context of the question, tell me what conservatism is. There was not an accurate answer from any of them. They tried to use it as to employ their own talking points as to what they think policy should be. Okay, that the conservatism is a lack of policy, literally, meaning the government should have nothing to do with these very things outside of national security. They should have nothing to do with all the talking points and all the list of things that these people all lined up and said, this is what it's about. It's about preserving our economy. It's not the government's place to preserve our economy. It's the free market's place to do that. It's not the government's place to provide health care. It's the free market. It's the private sector. That's what we've been conditioned to believe, that the government is the answer. And it's not the answer. It was never established that way. It was never put together that way. And we've allowed it to be taken to places it was never intended to go. And so now what we do is we have not arguments about what conservatism versus liberalism is. We have arguments about who's going to run the show.
But John, here's the thing, and let's use the insurance companies as an example, because you're absolutely right. You know, the government's job is to protect us and protect our rights as citizens. It is not anybody, but the other thing they need to do is to protect the whole premise of free trade in fair trade. And when you let states say to an insurance company, you cannot come into this state and sell insurance or even propose insurance, that's wrong. Because me as an accountant, I can practice accounting in any state in the United States. I can go anywhere and do it. Doctors can practice medicine in any state in the United States. They can do it. If you want to make cars, you can make them in any state in the United States. You can do it. But the insurance companies are trying to put a monopoly on and say, okay, you can't sell insurance in California because there's too many people and we want to keep those profits here. If you want to have free trade and fair trade, businesses should be able to do business all over our country.
Okay, and I don't disagree with that, Bob. I absolutely agree with you 100%. The answer to reforming the healthcare system is to allow interstate commerce. The federal government has taken that and they have interpreted it to mean we regulate it. Okay, there's a difference between saying this state cannot forbid this state from doing something, but even in the purest sense of conservatism, federalism trumps everything. So if a state does not want to allow a certain entity to come in and practice in their state or to do business, that state has the right to do that as long as the residents of that state condone it. But when you have legislators that just say this is what we're going to do,
but John, every state has a law in the books against the restraint of trade. And when you're talking about this specific subject, insurance, they shouldn't be allowed to have restraint of trade.
Oh, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that. I totally agree with you there. And that, to me, is the solution. But that isn't something that Donald Trump offered. That's Ted Cruz's position. Interstate commerce should be allowed. But
yes.
And I've only got a couple of minutes here left with you, Bob. So let me just.
I'll stay with you for another hour if you want.
Let me give you my definition here. I've taken the rant away from Joe, but Joe knows me.
So on Friday.
Yeah. So here it is. The literal definition of conservatism, literally speaking, is maintenance or maintaining the status quo. Now, what that means is conservatism is any political philosophy that favors tradition in the sense of various religious, cultural, or nationally defined beliefs and customs in the face of external forces for change, and it is critical of proposals for radical social change. Conservatism is don't fix what ain't broken. That's what conservatism represents. It's not a clear-cut philosophy, but it is a set of beliefs. And those beliefs mean that free enterprise over everything, continuation of the traditions that made us great, minimal government intervention in the economy, and strict law and order enforcement. Those are the elements and the aspects that make up conservatism. But conservatism as an ideology stands and opposes radical change to the structure that has made the country what it is. That's what somebody should be saying out there. We're not saying that everything is perfect, but that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, it's like if there is an issue, the free market. If we say if the government was going to step in and do what they're actually supposed to do, they would come to the states because they do have in the Constitution the right to deal with interstate commerce, and so they can say, as the federal government, what we're going to say is the states are overstepping their limitations by limiting interstate commerce, not come in and say, well, since you guys aren't doing it right, we'll take it over and do it. That's the difference. That's where I'm at there. And when I'm president, this will all stop in 24 hours.
Hey, guys. Great show. This has been a great show.
I appreciate you listening to my rant.
Well, no. You know what? I love it when it gets a little heated like that.
All right. Okay. Well, just tell your listeners, visit our site sometime, theconservativesyndicate.net, and we'll let you get back to your show. We got to get back to ours.
All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll talk to you on Friday.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, guys, it's time for the Edwards Notebook. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
One of the major roles of government is to protect us from enemies both foreign and domestic. But now we need protection from federal government decisions. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, the Obama administration has positioned itself as a detriment to U.S. sovereignty and the physical safety of we the people. On one hand, despite a preponderance of evidence to the contrary, Obama has blamed gun ownership as a reason why people ranging from Muslims, illegal immigrants, and street thugs seek to kill or rob unarmed sovereign citizens. The president and other gun grabbers also ignore the fact that very few crimes against humanity are committed by law-abiding gun owners. To add insult to injury, Mr. Obama is trying to close Gitmo and has been releasing Islamic terrorists, most of whom go right back to their murderous ways of blowing up people, beheading others, abusing women and animals, as if that's not enough.
And the nice Muslim and the bad Muslim and the good Muslim and the middle Muslim and the high Muslim and the low Muslim and the Islam. I'm sick of it all!
Obama's fixation on fundamentally changing America with legions of illegal immigrants crossing into our republic poses yet another clear and present danger to America. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Akos.
Hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate, coming to you coast to coast and around the world, globally syndicated, nationally acclaimed. And that's what we are, that's what we do. We espouse what I call the conservative gospel. And along with my co-host Joe Hakos from Dry Report, I think we do a damn good job of it, as I hope we just exhibited in our segment here with Bob Cardoso, Robert Cardoso Live. I'm of the mindset right now, I am never going to just be passive when somebody who tells me they're conservative gives me some watered-down, half-assed definition by using things like examples. Well, it's like this, it's like that, it's like Sweden, it's like Finland. Okay, no, that isn't going to work anymore. If we're going to be out there screaming from the top of our lungs that we need a conservative in the White House, let's at least get one in there that knows what it means. You know, and I found it remarkable that in the debate nobody asked Ted Cruz to define conservatism. Now, I don't know that if his answer would have been any better, but at least he is the closest thing we have. Somebody should have asked him what that means. I mean, we're talking about a guy who has argued the Constitution before in front of the courts. He probably could have given us a little better definition than Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, and especially John Kasich, who just, if his hair was just a little bit more rattled, he would have reminded me of Bernie Sanders. You know, the answer was so canned and just off the wall. So anyway, I'm not going to let it go anymore. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Do you have any comments on that, Joe, before we're in our short segment? There's something I'd like to do this segment, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to respond because I kind of stole the show there.
Well, that's okay. You could always steal it. You know, your name's at the top. It's no big deal to me. But I would have liked to give Bob this.
I'm sorry?
I wanted to give Bob one of these.
Oh.
I mean, really? Because that's the play school freaking definition of conservatism.
Well, Bob has got such a good heart. He is a good man. He's got such a good heart. And like so many of my other friends, just wrong.
It's not all wrong. He's
just I understand where he's coming from. I thought, compared to all the other debates, I thought there was a lot to take away from this one. Not in terms of substance, but just in terms of to me, if nothing else, the short dialogue that took place about conservatism was extremely revealing as to just how much the Republican Party doesn't even understand what they claim they believe.
Well, like you said, look who they asked. They asked not a conservative. They asked Rubio, not a conservative. They asked Trump, not a conservative.
Yeah. And I still want to expound on that a little bit.
And the other people they might have been able to ask Carson and Cruz, but the other people there certainly weren't conservatives. Now, the one they left out, Fiorina, she might have been able to answer, but I'm not so sure, but she might have been. But it would have been nice to hear her answer the question.
Yeah, and I would have.
There's an article just out. Wait until this November, because increases to Obamacare rates are going to be hidden around election time. In fact, we're going to hear it for a couple months.
Well, we have the
fact. Just hold on a second. Let me just read this.
Okay.
This is from Town Hall, and just this last paragraph is pretty telling about how awesome Obamacare has been. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, forces people to pay for every expensive coverage that they can't even use until they blow through thousands in out-of-pocket expenses, which they already can't afford. According to the study, according to the Kaiser study, reference in this piece right here, 62% of those who say they can't pay their medical bills are insured. Holy cow, they're insured. 62% of them can't pay their medical bills because they're already insured. I'll leave you with, and then it goes into Trump's little thing and Trump's little ideas aren't even new ideas. Those are the same ideas I heard back in the day before Obamacare was signed into law. It's a big freaking deal, right, Joey Biden? Yeah, thank you. There's the same ideas that were being thrown up, but like I said, Barack and his buddies reached across the aisle and said, "Ha ha, sucker, we ain't doing that." Yeah. But they want to reach across the aisle. They want to make deals. They don't want to make deals. He had a chance to make a deal with Republicans back in the day with his veto-proof Senate and House, and he rammed Obamacare down people's throats using trickery and everything else and all kind of procedures that just, had never been done before. And they used them, and they were like, that's how they reach across the aisle. That's how bipartisan they are. That's how they make deals. They make deals. When you make a deal with the Democrats, you make the deal the Democrats want. Otherwise, they don't make deals. That's what people need to learn. So I'm a deal maker crap, shove that.
Yeah. Well, this whole idea of, that's exactly, you just hit the nail on the head here. We have been we're around this mentality. We've copped to this mentality, either knowingly or unknowingly, willingly or unwillingly, that the government is supposed to fix everything. We've allowed ourselves to be. FDR began this on a serious note when we got into the idea of Social Security, and Johnson brings in Medicare and the welfare and all this other stuff. I think welfare was out of the Kennedy administration. So this idea that we're supposed to somehow, the government is supposed to take care of the masses, the people that either can't or won't do something for whatever reason, whether it be physical disability, socioeconomic status, race, whatever excuses or reasons that are given. And we're sitting there arguing over this stuff as to how the government is supposed to do this, rather than saying the government is not supposed to do this. This is exactly the way our framers set the government up, so that they wouldn't interfere with all this. So heartless. Oh, you're so heartless. That's all. Oh, you don't care about the lesser people. Oh, yeah, bullcrap. No. Yeah. So anyway, we're in a short segment. We got to run a commercial here. The solution. And I want, when we come back, I want to do something. Like I said, I told Joe before the show, I want to do something I don't normally do. I want to heap some praise on a liberal. And we'll talk about that when we get back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building.
As much as half.
That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live, daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you'll get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decision concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
We're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, man, prophet of the airways on a mission from God, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. Joe, you can't handle the truth, Hakos, and we're doing what we do best, what we've been called to do, what we've been licensed to do by God Almighty Himself, and that is to articulate Christian conservatism and bring back the great America that was established as one nation under God. I wanted, and in line with that, I want to do something that I don't normally do on this show. Very seldom will do it, and that is I want to give kudos out there to a liberal, one of the most, I guess, in some ways, representative of what liberalism has become, and that is none other than Lady Gaga. I have to say, when I found out or heard that she was going to sing the national anthem last night at Super Bowl 50, I gagged. I gagged, and I let out with a loud expletive that my wife promptly smacked me for. Why do you have to talk like that? And I said, well, it elicits that kind of response in me. And so anyway, she did the national anthem, and I have to tell you, I was very proud to listen to that. I thought it was probably one of the best renditions of the national anthem that I've heard in a long time. I couldn't really remember hearing it. Nobody else popped up in my mind in recent memory that did such a great rendition of the national anthem. Did you think it was okay, Joe?
I thought it was very, very well done, professional. Yes, it was very good.
Yeah, and then when
it was not what I expected. Of course,
no.
I guess that was the tone of the whole damn Super Bowl. It wasn't what I expected.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either. I thought she might come out wearing stakes and with some fancy headdress or some weird garb or something like that. She came out in a silvery red pantsuit and very, I guess conservative by her standards. It was a very nice looking outfit. She didn't overdo the makeup or anything else. But I want to play the national anthem here as sung by Lady Gaga, because I'm not sure everybody out there listening to us actually watches the Super Bowl. I'm assuming some people have other things they'd rather do. But this was worth playing, because this, even though this exemplifies, let me put it this way, this exemplifies what it means to be an American. You have the right to be wrong. Okay? You can be totally washed up and washed out with your political views, but you have the right to those views in this country. And so in honor of that belief, I want to play this. This is Lady Gaga doing the national anthem, and then we'll comment briefly about the halftime show, which was from hell. So stay with us. Or don't stay with us. Stay with us. We're not going anywhere. This is Lady Gaga.
Oh, say, was so gallantly streaming.
By Lady Gaga, and a great flyover by the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. And thanks to those sailors and Marines and our troops serving around the globe. When we come back to Super Bowl 50, we'll have the coin toss.
On being prepared. I saved your life by bringing you here. I knew this day would come.